another deep dive with us. Today we're going to be talking about something pretty interesting.
Interesting for sure.
I think so. The trailer rental business. It's something that a lot of you have sent us questions about.
Yeah, it's a questions.
Yeah, so many that we had to get an expert in to help us sort through it all.
Absolutely.
And lucky for us, we got our hands on this super in-depth guide from Small Business Kings, or SBK, as I think we'll be calling it for
brevity's sake.
For brevity's sake, exactly. So SBK, they really dug deep into this whole trailer rental thing, and it's got me wondering, like, could this be my next side hustle? So let's break it down, see if it's the right fit for you guys listening out there as well. What do you think?
Well, what I found really interesting about SBK's take is that, yeah, they get into the nuts and bolts. We're going to get into all that. But they emphasize right off the bat that this isn't some, like, magic money tree.
Right, right.
It's a business. And like any business, it's about matching what you offer to what people need.
And speaking of need, doesn't it seem like everyone needs a trailer at some point?
Huh?
I mean, moving day, home projects, that friend who suddenly gets into kayaking and needs to haul.
Oh, don't get me started on the kayaking. But you're making SBK's point exactly, that steady demand is what makes this appealing. It's not just a one-off transaction. You can build recurring revenue.
Okay, so demand is there, which is great. But SBK also cautions about, like, knowing your local market, right?
Huge point. It's not as simple as trailers are useful, therefore I will profit. You got to think, who are your potential customers? What are their specific needs?
So give me an example. How would the trailer rental game differ, say, in a bustling city versus a more, I don't know, rural area?
Love it. So picture this. City center, lots of apartment buildings, people moving more often, right? You're probably going to see huge demand for those smaller utility trailers, maybe furniture pads, the works.
Makes sense.
But head out to the countryside, suddenly it's landscaping businesses, construction crews, folks hauling farm equipment.
Whoa, so you're not just renting a trailer, you're renting a solution to their, like, lifestyle.
Exactly. SBK really hammers home that matching your trailer fleet to those needs is essential.
Okay, I'm getting it. But even with the perfect trailer, there's got to be the whole, like, safety and legal side. I can just imagine myself handing keys to someone who's never even seen a hitch before. Recipe for disaster.
You're singing SBK's tune. They are adamant about safety and training not being optional. You're responsible for making sure your customers can tow, load, secure, everything by the book.
And probably making them sign a whole bunch of waivers while they're at it. Speaking of signing things, let's talk money. How much are we talking about to get this show on the road? What's the damage?
All right, time to pull out those calculators because, like any business, this comes with a price tag, and SBK doesn't sugarcoat it.
Hit me with the big expenses.
Well, your bread and butter, or should I say steel and wheels, are the trailers themselves, and these aren't cheap. SBK estimates a decent utility trailer alone could cost anywhere from, say, $2,000 to $5,000 each. And remember, you'll need a variety to cater to those different needs we talked about.
Okay, that's a decent chunk of change, but not totally unreasonable. What else? What else is going to break the bank?
Now, this is where it gets interesting. SBK mentions these heavy-duty haulers, gooseneck trailers, and those can cost close to 10 grand.
Ah.
So do you specialize, go for the high-ticket rentals, or cast a wider net? It's a real strategic decision point.
10 grand. Okay, now we're talking serious investment. I thought this was supposed to be a side hustle, not a full-blown venture. I'm getting nervous.
Hold on, don't panic yet. SBK has our back with a super handy budget calculator that factors in all these costs. No more napkin math for us. We'll link to it in the show notes.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better. But even with a detailed budget, what about all the other stuff? Insurance, marketing, maintenance. SBK even mentions specialized software now to manage it all.
You're absolutely right, and those ongoing expenses are crucial. They can vary a lot depending on where you are and how big you go. So SBK stresses getting a realistic picture of your potential expenses and your potential profits before diving in headfirst.
It's making me think that maybe starting small and then scaling up is the way to go. Test the waters before, jumping into the deep end.
Exactly. And speaking of diving in, are you ready to tackle the, shall we say, exciting world of permits and licenses?
Oh, permits and licenses. Yeah, that's always a thrill ride. But hey, SBK actually makes this whole process way less intimidating than I expected. They really break it down step by step.
Okay, because I'll be honest, usually when I hear permits and licenses, my eyes start to glaze over. So for those of us who aren't exactly legal eagles, what are the absolute must-dos according to SBK?
First things first. Make it official. Register that business. SBK talks about contacting your Secretary of State's office, maybe the Business Bureau, depends on where you are, really. Oh, and they have a good point about operating under a DBA.
A DBA.
Yeah. doing business A's. So if you're picturing a big old sign that says "Trailers Are Us" or something
Ah,
super catchy, you might need to register that name separately. Makes sense. Wouldn't want to get shut down by a paperwork snafu.
exactly. And speaking of paperwork, let's talk taxes. Nobody's favorite topic, right? But SBK says you'll need an EIN. It's basically like a social security number, but for your business.
So Uncle Sam can get his cut?
Precisely. And don't forget about the sales tax license, because you'll be collecting those from your customers.
Okay, so we've registered the business, we've got our tax situation figured out. What's next on the legal checklist? What else do we need to check off?
Now get ready for the licenses. And this is where it can get a little, shall we say, location specific. SBK suggests checking your local government websites, but some common ones they mention are vehicle permits, maybe even a specific trailer rental license. Oh, and zoning permits if you're setting up shop in a particular area,
Yeah.
and signage permits.
Signage permits? You mean like if you want to put up a big, flashy "Rent Our Trailers" sign?
Exactly. They think of everything.
It's crazy how even the smallest details matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's why we love SBK, right? They're giving us all the info up front so we can avoid those awkward and potentially expensive encounters with the law.
Speaking of avoiding awkward encounters, can we move on to the fun part now?
You mean the trailers themselves?
Yes. Let's talk trailers. SBK has this whole section breaking down all the different types. It's like a kid in a candy store.
It really is.
You've got your classic flatbeds. Those are always in demand, perfect for hauling lumber, construction materials, you name it.
Right. And then there are the enclosed trailers. Those are a hit with people who are moving, especially if they want to keep their stuff safe from the elements.
And we can't forget about the dump trailers. Perfect for those weekend warrior
Oh,
projects.
yeah, those are popular. And SBK goes even further. They talk about car haulers. Those are specifically for transporting vehicles.
Of course.
And remember those heavy-duty gooseneck trailers we talked about earlier? The ones that cost a small fortune? They get a whole section on those, too.
So many options. It's like building a dream garage, but for trailers. But this is where that market research we talked about comes in handy, right?
100%. You don't want to end up with a fleet of car haulers if everyone in your area is driving those tiny electric cars.
Exactly. You've got to stock up on what your customers actually need. All right, so let's say we've got our trailers. Now we need a place to put them.
Location, location, location. It's crucial in this business. And we're not just talking about any old parking lot. SBK emphasizes the importance of visibility and accessibility for your customers.
And I would imagine the ideal location might differ depending on the type of trailers you're renting out, right?
You got it. SBK pointed out that those bigger trailer rentals, like the goosenecks and flatbeds, they often do well near busy roads or industrial parks. It's all about being where the businesses are.
Right, because those businesses are probably the ones renting those types of trailers.
Makes sense, right? But if you're focused on those smaller trailers, like the ones people use for moving or hauling yard waste, being closer to residential areas might be a smarter move.
Yeah, because who wants to drive an hour just to pick up a trailer for their Saturday morning yard work?
Nobody. It's all about convenience. And speaking of convenience, we can't forget about your setup. You'll need an office space to handle bookings, paperwork, all that fun stuff.
And maybe a copy machine?
A little caffeine never hurts. But in all seriousness, SBK also stresses the importance of having a dedicated space for those administrative tasks. It makes you look more professional and organized.
Makes sense. All right, so we've got our location, our office is all set up. What about the trailers themselves? We can't just let them sit there and gather dust, right?
Absolutely not. Maintenance is key. SBK is big on this. They say regular upkeep is crucial for two main reasons: safety and customer satisfaction.
Because a well-maintained trailer is a safe trailer, and happy customers are repeat customers.
Exactly. So you'll want to factor in the cost of regular inspections, repairs, all that good stuff.
Okay, so our trailers are sparkling clean and ready to roll. How do we get the word out? How do we find these customers?
Marketing, my friend.
Yeah.
And in today's world, that means having a killer online presence. SBK is all about online booking systems, and honestly, I have to agree with them.
It just makes sense, right? It's 2024. People want to be able to book things online 24/7.
Exactly. It streamlines the whole process for both you and the customer. No more phone tag, no more trying to decipher someone's handwriting.
Plus, it makes it super easy for people to find you with a quick Google search. Out of sight, out of mind, right?
Something like that. And don't underestimate the power of social media. SBK recommends getting active on the platforms where your target audience is hanging out. A few eye-catching photos of your trailers, maybe a testimonial from a happy customer. That's marketing gold right there.
It's all about building that brand awareness and trust. People need to know that you're reliable, your trailers are in good shape, and that renting from you will be a smooth, hassle-free experience.
You got it. You're not just renting out a trailer. You're renting out peace of mind.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about everything from permits and licenses to marketing and maintenance. And now, with all that in mind, it's time to revisit the numbers.
All right, deep divers, we're back. And I gotta say, after that last segment, my head's spinning a bit with all these trailer possibilities. Are we thinking flatbeds, enclosed, maybe a daring gooseneck or two? Someone tell me to slow down. Well, before you max out your credit card on a feed of goosenecks, remember, SBK emphasizes that it all comes back to that business plan. But I have to hand it to them, they really delivered on giving us the practical roadmap, didn't they?
Totally. We covered it all, the permits, the licenses, even the stuff that usually makes my eyes glaze over. But hey, that's the beauty of these deep dives, right? We get into the weeds so you don't have to.
Exactly. And armed with that knowledge, you can make informed decisions. Speaking of which, one thing SBK didn't dive too deep into, it's more of a bigger picture thing, really. But it got me thinking, this whole renting instead of owning trend, it's huge.
Yeah.
And trailers fit right in.
Right. It's like, why be stuck with a giant trailer in your driveway 360 days a year when you only need it for, like, a weekend move or that annual camping trip?
It's not just about clutter, though, right? It's about changing consumer behavior. People, especially younger generations, they value access over ownership. And that's a golden opportunity for someone getting into the trailer rental business.
So you're saying there's this whole untapped market of people who are ready to embrace the rental lifestyle. That's pretty exciting.
Absolutely. But like any gold rush, you got to know where to stake your claim. SBK gave us that starting cost range, remember? $55,000 on the low end, but it could climb to over $170,000.
Yeah, that's a pretty wide range. Definitely makes the case for doing your homework.
Right. Are you catering to budget-conscious DIYers or businesses with deeper pockets? That's going to shape everything from the types of trailers you offer to your marketing strategy.
And we can't forget about those ongoing expenses. Insurance, maintenance, keeping those trailers in tip-top shape. It all adds up.
It does. And speaking of adding up, let's give a shout out to SBK's budget calculator again. Seriously, that tool is a lifesaver.
Agreed. We'll link it up in the show notes for everyone. But hey, even with a solid business plan and a fleet of shiny trailers, you gotta get those customers.
Cue the marketing music.
Oh.
And SBK was spot on about online booking systems being non-negotiable these days. People want convenience, they want instant gratification.
And a smooth, user-friendly online experience. Don't make them jump through hoops to rent a trailer.
Exactly. The easier you make it, the more likely they are to click that Book Now button.
It's true. And hey, while you're at it, spruce up that online presence. Get some good photos of your trailers, maybe a time-lapse video of someone effortlessly hooking one up to their truck.
A little creativity goes a long way. Show, don't just tell, right?
Exactly. All right, folks, we've covered a ton of ground today. We explored the ins and outs of the trailer rental business, from the legal nitty-gritty to marketing magic.
And we did it all thanks to the awesome guidance of SBK. Seriously, their guide is a must-read for anyone even remotely curious about this industry.
Couldn't agree more. Now, whether you're envisioning a side hustle or a full-blown empire, remember, knowledge is power. So keep asking those questions, keep exploring those possibilities, and who knows, maybe we'll see YOU on the road to trailer rental success. Until next time, happy hauling.